Joining me is the panel, Michael Kroger, former Victorian Liberal President, and Stephen Conroy, former Labor Senator and Cabinet Minister. Michael, Anthony Albanese receiving a lot of criticism. Does he deserve it?
Does he deserve it? Well, of course he does. This has all happened on his watch. And he says, well, if I hear one more time, Andrew, we stand against anti-Semitism, we'll do whatever we need to do. He's been in charge for 2 years, Andrew. We've now had Jews murdered on the streets of Sydney. Does he deserve it? Of course he does. The first thing this guy ought to do is go to Israel. I don't want to hear another word from him or Wong or Burke unless I hear them speaking in the ashes, amongst the ashes at Kfar Azar. When I see Albanese standing there talking about Jews and standing with Jews, then I'll start to believe him. He needs to run a national advertising campaign. The federal government should spend the next 2 years on a national advertising campaign, print, TV, radio, online, publicising what Jewish hatred means and why we are against it. He needs to have a national commission of older Australians, you know, former Prime Ministers and Premiers, dealing with anti-Semitism. He needs to show the IDF video, Andrew, where Jews were slaughtered and beheaded by these Palestinian Hamas savages. That should be shown in every school to Year 12 students, at every university, in the arts institutions. Any organisation receiving federal government funds should be forced to watch the IDF video if you want to deal with what Jewish hatred is all about. And of course we should send the refugees from Gaza home. We should strengthen the character test in the Migration Act immediately. I mean, Jason Wood and a number of Liberals tried to do this in 2019 to make it easier to deport people on visas, and the Labor Party voted against it twice. Twice they voted against it, right? Twice, Albanese in those days. There needs to be the immediate implementation of Siegel, obviously. Well, that's been on his desk for 7 months. And on it goes. There's so many things that the government could do urgently about face masks at demonstrations, etc., etc. What's this guy done? Nothing. Nothing. He stands there and says, I've given a few shekels to some Jewish organisations. They should feel happy. That's what he's done, and now we get Jews slaughtered in Sydney, Andrew. Should he be blamed? Yes, of course he should.
We've just got a vision of former Prime Minister Scott Morrison laying his wreath at this very moving memorial site at Bondi Beach. Stephen, there's a lot of anger. Some will say it's too soon after the shootings, but boy, there's a lot of anger among the Jewish community. How much is the Prime Minister responsible? I think saying blood on his hands, I hate that. I think that's far too much and too heavy a charge. But what do you think?
Well, firstly, my heart goes out to every member of the Australian Jewish community, what they're going through at the moment. To feel that you can't walk safely in the streets of Australia is a shameful thing for our country. All Australians deserve to feel safe. In terms of, I agree with some of what Michael said there about a national education and information campaign. So Australians absolutely understand what has gone on. No, so I absolutely agree with Michael on that. I think that's worthy. I agree with him. I think it's important to implement the Siegel recommendations. I think the government has to send the most unambiguous message to those hate preachers that it is over, it is unacceptable. They have to call it out. They have to be seen to call it out. They have to take action to ban organisations that preach and encourage this behaviour, these statements, and they have to do it quickly. It is just not acceptable that these rants, these anti-Semitic Jew-hating rants, are able to be allowed and tolerated. Enough is enough.
Michael, you know, I grieve for the dead and the injured and people who suffered so much loss yesterday. And you know what? I also makes me cry to think of what has happened to Australia? I mean, in our lifetime that we've come to this, where did we go so wrong?
So, Andrew, there's no doubt the character of this country has changed. And I think it's fair to say now the multicultural experiment is being torn asunder by people who don't share Western values. It's not to say their culture's no good, it's just different. They like the culture of their countries, even though a lot of them have come here. It's just a different culture. We like the Western way of life. We like the Westminster system of government. We like freedom, democracy, religious freedom, tolerance, mateship. We're proud of our country and its history. We're not faultless? Of course not. What country is? But people who come to Australia that want to set up enclaves, that's fine. But if you're not going to integrate into this country, then it's just not working. I mean, it's not working. Yesterday will change this country forever. And if the message from Albanese 2 years ago had been a strong message, as it would have been under Howard, Morrison, Turnbull, Shorten or Gillard, then we wouldn't be in this position today. All of those 5 former Prime Ministers would have come out on day one and been very strong against anti-Semitism, Jewish hatred, and taken very strong action. But, Andrew, what's happened over the last 2 years has been this dog whistling against Jews, against Israel, wink at the UN, wink in donations, wink in criticising Netanyahu. You know, remember Penny Wong was asked, would you arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he came to Australia? She wouldn't say no.
So right.
She said we have to be bound by international law. The foreign minister thinks the Israeli Prime Minister should be arrested.
It was dreadful.
This is what I'm saying about the dog whistling. Dog whistling against Jews in this country under Albanese has been disgraceful.
Could I make one final point? It isn't good enough for the government to try. Thank you. It isn't good enough for the government to try and assert that the level of anti-Islamophobia can possibly be matched by what has been going on and what has just happened.
Correct.
That is not an argument that is sustainable today going forward. It's struggled to be sustainable up to now. It is absolutely unsustainable from yesterday going forward.
Correct.
Stephen Conroy, we're very well said. Thank you so much. Totally in agreement with you. Michael Kroger, thank you very much to you both.